For those of you who couldn't make the marriage morning in Hope, this is my summary of the two parts that I brought: margin and tribe. This is one of my favourite quotes. As we're going to look a bit at the detail of our lives, it's important to always know our why. If you want to build a ship, don't drum up the men to gather wood, divide the work and give orders. Instead, teach them to yearn for the vast and endless sea. So the vision is all marriages are new creation marriages in Christ, speaking of the reality of the union between Christ and the church. That's what we're living into. We've died to our old way of living, and we're living into this prophetic anticipation of the union between Christ and the church that is to come. But how we do that is deeply practical. We need to give each other an extraordinary level of margin in our lives. Both margin in terms of time that we spend with each other, but also the marginalised sides of us in vulnerable, open, gentle conversations with each other. So firstly, I'm going to look at the margin of just simply giving time. Firstly, just wasting time together. We think of the image of the woman who poured out that beautiful perfume over Jesus. This idea of extravagantly investing in each other for no reason, no agenda, no outcome, just it's important to have time together. What we spend our time on, how we invest our time, really speaks of our values and what we believe is reality. And to waste time with each other is a real sign that we value this relationship more than any other human relationship. Secondly, time to pray together. As I've shared many times, Chris and I found it impossible to pray together for years. He would be very quiet and I would speak, and we would argue because he felt I was talking too much and I didn't feel he was saying much at all. However, on our sabbatical with Pastors Ossian and Fatima in 2022, we were really inspired and encouraged and amazed by their prayer life together. They wake up every morning, the first thing they do is pray together, and the last thing at night, every night they pray together. And so something shifted for us, and since then we've been able to pray together. We go on a prayer walk most days as we walk our dog, and that's been something that's just contributed to bringing that incredible margin of time together in our lives. So firstly, wasting time together, no agenda, just being together. Secondly, praying together. And thirdly, as I said, this is so important, is bringing our margins, our marginalised bits, our vulnerable bits into the light. Now, we are not one another's therapist or counsellor. This isn't the time or place necessarily to then try and, fix or bring solutions or try and identify issues with the other person. Sometimes there is grace on us to do that and we bring wisdom to each other, that's fine. I'm not in any way suggesting that kind of way of dealing with it though. All I'm saying is, for that time together, when we are together, to be authentic connection, we need to be vulnerable and not be performative. We need to bring the bits of us that are difficult, that we might feel shame over or might feel they're inappropriate, to one another in very careful, gentle and wise ways. And then we can just encourage each other to do whatever we need outside our relationship to work on that, to receive all the healing and so on that we need, from recovery groups to counsellors to therapists to having friendship groups that we walk in the light with. All of those other things we then bring into that process they're in, but we think it's really, really important, according to the grace and the gentleness and the way our marriages work, to be able to bring the marginalised sides of ourselves to the table. So my first point that I brought on the marriage morning and I've summarised just now is margin. Do not underestimate the power of margin, having time together and bringing our marginalised parts to the table.